Hello, can everybody hear me? I'm just going to give it a few seconds here for some other people to join in. This is our second webinar of this season for organic lawn care. Um, in here, I do say mute yourself until the Q&A at the end, but you can certainly unmute and try to, interrupt my presentation and ask questions at any time. I also have the chat open, so if you have any questions as I'm talking, I'll try to look at that and answer as we go along. But this should be pretty casual, so feel free to pop in if you have something that you'd like to ask. And with that, I will get started. I guess this is the beginning of summer. We are right close to the beginning, I guess, of summer. So the things that I'll talk about today, weed control, we really talk about this at every webinar. I know that's a hot topic, and that's something we'll go over today. We're going to go over some watering tips. We'll talk about a little bit about our other services, including electric mowing, and then a lawn disease that we're actually seeing earlier this year called ascochyta. So I'll share a little bit about that as well. So right now not everybody has the same program, but many people are on their second application, which is our liquid iron. That's our post-emergent broadleaf weed control, and as well as our organic fertilizer. We're doing those applications now, as well as some other services like compost tea and mosquito sprays and things like that. Some people may be also getting multiple iron applications, so we're in the process of doing those. So for weed control, we control weeds in 3 different ways. The first way is our early spring corn gluten meal. That service has passed, so we're past our pre-emergent window. So now we're into our post-emergent. What we use for that is liquid iron. That is a product that doesn't work on all weeds, but works on some broadleaf weeds. Some of those weeds need multiple applications to be suppressed, and some of them can be suppressed within one application. This picture shows thistle, where you can see that some of that is turning kind of a purpley brown, black. That's where you're showing some of the tissue dying. But you can see that some plants, not all of that tissue is going to die on that one application. We can do multiple applications of liquid iron during the season, so that's going to help with weeds, including this thistle. And then just a reminder about some cultural methods that help with our weed control. Watering appropriately, so that would be deeply and infrequently, or even just watering enough. There's obviously certain locations that might need more water than others. Watering to prevent dormancy is an important part of our process. And then mowing high, so keeping the grass mowed 3.5, 4 inches, or as high as you can tolerate. Not mowing when the grass is stressed out, things that we can do to keep the grass as healthy as possible. So I'll first talk about the chelated iron. As you can see, that some more pictures here where the leaf is turning kind of black, brown, purple on the edges. Some of these plants, they'll start to be suppressed. Some of them that green will come back, and it will weather through that stress. And things like dandelions, those should die within 24 hours. The dandelions that are out at the time of application. So the tissue of the weed, it oxidizes and dies pretty quickly. And you can see there's certain weeds that wouldn't be suppressed that aren't going to show any effect from it. We can apply this in temperatures from 50 to 85 degrees, and it is rain fast after an hour. So like days like today, where we might have entered the day and having moisture on the grass, as long as that grass has an hour to dry out during the day, then that iron will be effective. It needs to dry on the plant to work. That's one of the reasons why we also say that you should avoid walking on it or letting your dog out when it's still wet, because we want that to dry to be able to work. So the chelated iron, we can blanket spray this on a lawn, and that is because it'll work on, it won't be effective on monocots. So those are grasses. So any grassy weed, the iron won't be effective on. Dicot weeds, they take in that chelated iron differently, and they will basically overdose on that iron by not having the receptors to turn off. So every plant takes in these nutrients differently. So the chelated iron, it's disguised as an amino acid. And so those broadleaf weeds, some of them will take it in like nutrients and then will die by overdose of the iron. Weeds that need more than one application would include creeping Charlie, thistle, plantains, and clover. And really, we say 2 to 4 applications. That can be based on timing, but during the season, 4 applications for especially creeping Charlie and thistles. Really, all 4 of them, plantains and clover. We would really recommend 4 to see the best suppression that you can see with this. Other common weeds that we're seeing this time of year that can be suppressed with the iron include black medic. This one can be confused with clover and also with wood sorrel, yellow wood sorrel. This one you can see has leaves of 3, but the one on the top has its own little separate stalk. And that's how you can tell the difference from some other weeds. It also have this little yellow flower. Plantains, those are a sign of compacted soil. So there's a couple components to when you think about controlling weeds. One, having the iron as a post-emergent, but also resolving the situation that the weed is thriving. So compacted soils, we can relieve compaction with aeration. We can also use a product called C20 that helps relieve compaction without having that mechanical process that comes with the aeration. Common chickweed. This has been very common this year. It loves moisture and shade. I've seen a lot of it this season. The iron is rated for it, although when the situation of too much moisture in the soil isn't improved, the chickweed can often find its way back in. Dandelions, these will bloom or these will die in 24 hours. They bloom all season long. So dandelions are biennial. Some of them are perennial, and some of them blow in by seed. It is an annual. So multiple applications can help with those subsequent blooms. But for typical, the biggest bloom time, which is just about happened, that's when we're going to apply the iron for the dandelions. Bull thistle as well as Canadian or Canada thistle, those both can be suppressed by multiple applications of iron. This particular weed also, I've noticed that it may enter winter looking alive, but it won't overwinter well after that stress of the iron throughout the season. Oxalis, which is also known as yellow wood sorrel, this gets confused with clover and with that black medic. The iron is rated for this weed. And the white clover as well. Our crews and in our office, we don't necessarily know if somebody wants this weed gone or if somebody is sowing clover in the lawn as part of a diverse situation in the lawn. Clover is part of bee mixes. It helps support our pollinators. So we don't always consider this a weed, but if somebody wants to get rid of it, you definitely need 4 applications of that iron to be able to suppress it. If somebody also wants to have it in the lawn, sometimes you don't necessarily have to sow it because often it can blow in and become part of your stand naturally. It is very easy for clover to thrive in lawns that are cut short. So anything, I've seen this where maybe even in areas where the lawn might get a little scalped, like on the top of a hillside, that will often be where clover can thrive because it will find some space and some sunlight to germinate, and it persists in our environment, and it's in our neighborhoods because a lot of people do sow this plant. So what to expect with the organic process? We're still in what I would consider the beginning of the year, although we've got a couple applications under our belt here. But the organic lawn care is a process. It takes millions of years to form soil, so it's going to take several years to improve soil. Part of the process with organic is improving the soil to grow better grass. What we do is also weather dependent. So every year there could be new challenges, whether we experience excessive moisture, excessive dryness, excessive heat, cooler temps. One thing we're experiencing early this year is the shifts between cool and wet weather with hot and dry. Those all can make plants do different things. So just to know that our process is weather dependent. I think last year I would determine was a very good growing season. So we had a lot of moisture, we had a lot of sunlight, and that makes all things grow well. So that would be grass, but it would also include weeds. Weed control takes time. After 3 full years on our program, that would be including that early spring corn gluten meal, all the way through to the seeding that we do in the fall, that we sow allelopathic grass species. That's part of our weed control. Doing that for 3 years, we can get a lawn within 5 to 10% of weeds. We always have a tolerance for 5 to 10% of weeds. So having weeds in certain trouble spots and heat zones in the lawn, along curb lines, driveways, those are very common areas for weeds to thrive. And part of our expectation is that some of those being in the lawn is okay in our tolerance level. Organic solutions do cost more money, so that is part of the challenge with our organic approach, is that these products cost more and you have to put down more to be effective. Each trip we do different things, so it has a different cost associated with it. And communication is the best way that we can help you. So if there's something new that pops up in your lawn, or a question you have, or something's changed in the lawn in appearance, always sharing that with us. If you can ever snap a picture and share that, it's really helpful for us to help guide through what the issue might be and set the expectations of how we can help solve that issue. Sometimes these things are weather dependent, so it just might be what we're experiencing, that most of things that are in our lawn can go away once the weather changes. So let us know if you have concerns, questions. That's our best way to be able to help you. Watering, as we had a lot of moisture recently, so we probably don't need to water today, but watering is one thing that we get asked a lot of, and it can really help with the process of organic lawn care. In a general sense, we would want you to water deeply and infrequently. That would mean that you would saturate the lawn for 1 inch of water. You want to do it all at the same time. It's best if it's done in the morning. If you have an irrigation system, keeping it in the off position and turning it on the day that is best suited for, in combination with what our weather is doing, is a really good tip. If we, a lot of times we want to just set the irrigation on, so setting that for 1 time per week it should be what the only amount that the lawn needs. To understand how long it takes to get to saturate the lawn to 1 inch of water, putting out a tuna can or cat food can, or some sort of can that is about 1 inch in depth. You can put that out, and then you can see how long you have to run the sprinkler or the irrigation to saturate that lawn for 1 inch of water. There are areas that are certainly do need more water than 1 time per week. Those are going to include south-facing slopes, any part of the lawn that is sandy. So people that might live up near the Anoka sand plains, where there's especially sandy soils, that sandy soil doesn't hold water as well, so might need some further watering. And you can really tell by if you walk in the lawn and you can see footprints where you're kind of getting to a wilting point of the grass. That's a good way to tell that the water might need to be necessary. Some of the things that we do pretty commonly is overwater. Watering every other day is a really good way to kind of create a weakened grass system. It doesn't really encourage your roots to grow deep and chase that moisture down. The length of the grass roots is going to be mimicked by the grass blade. So the longer our roots are, the longer that grass is going to be able to be maintained. And when you have deeper roots, they're going to be more drought resistant, and can weather through the stresses of summer more easily than a like kind of a shallow, weak grass root system. Grass also likes a period of drying out. So a lot of our diseases and concerns with the lawn is when there's too much moisture in the thatch layer. Um, keeping moisture at the top can encourage certain weeds like chickweed and moss. So having a period of drying out is really healthy for the grass plant. In dormancy, if you don't want to water, that is totally fine. Just knowing that when the grass kind of dries up, it's really going dormant to protect itself. Making sure not to mow during that time, and wait until that grass starts breaking dormancy by growing new green shoots. Then you can resume mowing as normal. It's easier to prevent dormancy than to get a lawn to break the dormancy. So looking at the weather when we're going to anticipate having a period of time where we are super hot and dry, giving it a nice good soak entering into that period is really helpful to prevent the lawn from going dormant and surviving through that stress period. Heat stress is another thing that we might start to experience. This is very common some years where our crews, when they enter a lawn like this, if they were going to do the liquid iron application that day, they would skip the areas that are experiencing the stress. They would still complete it in areas that are green, especially if those areas contain weeds like creeping Charlie. Then we can just spot spray that out. So important not to mow when a lawn looks like this. We don't want to apply the iron. There's other products that we can apply, like compost tea wouldn't be negatively affected by it. And like I said earlier, preventing dormancy, preventing heat stress is easier than breaking it. Once it looks like this, you can still water once a week just to maintain a healthy root system, but trying to get it to break by overwatering it won't work very easily. So then I just wanted to put in this slide about programming your controller. So if you can run the irrigation from the off position, that's a great way to do it. Otherwise, keeping it set for AM watering and doing that once a week, or maybe thinking about your zones, and maybe some zones might require watering twice a week, and some zones the one would be fine. Areas that are under shaded conditions, those don't need to be watered as much. They don't need to be mowed as much. So something to consider, that maybe there's even zones that you just don't need to turn on. And then I like to put in videos here. We have a large video library in our website. And so this is going to talk a little bit about watering some more.
Lawns typically need 1 inch of water 1 time per week, and only if it hasn't rained. So in Minnesota, sprinkling in July and August is usually all that is necessary. Irrigation should always be done in the morning and should also saturate the whole lawn at the same time. Sandy soils and large slopes may require watering 2 times per week. Overwatering is a common mistake, especially during hot and humid periods, which can create an environment where disease can thrive. Disease symptoms from overwatering can often be mistaken for dry grass. Deep and infrequent watering is encouraged because it improves soil health and trains roots to chase the moisture down, making them stronger, resulting in a healthier and more drought-resistant lawn. To further reduce water consumption, we suggest establishing grass species that require even less attention. Fine fescues need a lot less water than Kentucky bluegrass. For more tips, please reach out. Naturally, we can help.
So next I'm going to talk about other services that we offer into this in the summer. Some of the service area does apply. If you're interested in anything, you can always reach out and ask. So we offer electric mowing. That's in a particular service area. We do multiple applications of iron. We do compost tea. There's many people that have it as part of their program. It's always something you can add in. We do edging services. So that is concrete edging. The dry compost is a way to add organic matter to a lawn, and that is something we can top dress with anytime during the season. C20, which is a non-mechanical aeration. It's a microbial boost. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Grub Gone is a product that we apply for people that have experienced grub damage in the past or want to prevent it for the future. And then we also offer landscaping services. So our electric mowing is a new division for us. It's something that's why we have a smaller service area as we're just getting started with it. But this is zero emission mowing. We travel with an electric truck and we use electric equipment. We also do spring and fall cleanups, although those we can't quite, we don't have the technology quite to be successful in using that with all electric equipment. So that might contain some gas-powered equipment for the spring and fall cleanups. This is our service area, so if you're interested in learning more, want to consider it for next season, this is our current service area for electric mowing. It's a bit tighter than we've had last year, and something that we hope to continue to grow and expand in future years. Compost tea is a application. It's a liquid. We basically brew compost at our shop. We are adding things in there to get it to a very healthy live level. So there are lots of microorganisms that are doing lots of different things to the grass plant. So this is also, it's going to be drenched into the soil. It's going to be on the grass plant. So it does a lot of different things. It's very hard to pinpoint exactly what compost tea does because you have millions of organisms that are kind of doing millions of different little things. But in a general sense, they're going to make the grass healthier. It's going to make the grass better to suppress things like insects and diseases and even weeds by just growing healthier. So it's something that we would suggest for somebody who might have had a history of disease in a lawn. Sometimes when someone says like their lawn's looking kind of sad or hasn't had a lot of things added to it for years, this is a really good way to boost a lot of these beneficial microorganisms to our lawns that provide a numerous amount of benefits. Edging, as you can see here, concrete to the lawn edging. So that would be sidewalks. We can do driveways as long as they are concrete. And you can see that a lot of times weeds and grass will grow over the edge of the property. This can help clean up things like sometimes things like crabgrass that is going to kind of grow over the sidewalk. It's going to kind of rip them up. It's also just going to be a nice aesthetic for good curb appeal. Dry compost. So this is a bit of a messy process, but it's something that we can do again for renovating lawns. It's always between 2 and 6 years. We do soil tests for all of our customers, and those sometimes if they're come back with low organic matter, then we could suggest dry compost. It's going to add a lot of organic matter to the soil. Also, when someone wants more like a lawn rejuvenation, just for kind of sad, tired soil, a really good way to boost it with some microorganisms, and then areas that are trouble for growing good grass will improve the soil and help grow grass better at the same time. We can do it anytime during the year. It's also a really good thing to add to the fall services with the aeration and seeding, because then you can kind of amend your soil with the dry compost by having it fall into those core aeration plugs. And also, if you have trouble spots in the lawn, we'll often say, you can go buy some dry compost at a store and kind of fill in dog spots, bare areas, any kind of trouble spot, and then add some seed into it. It's a really good combination to do. We do recommend dry compost called Cosmo. I'll actually type this in there, the chat. That is out of Wisconsin, and they do a really good job uh, of the quality of the compost. They also compost it for a long period of time on concrete. And so that's going to eliminate things like jumping worms for being a part of that product. So dry compost, it's going to add organic matter and beneficial bacteria to the soil. We usually spread it about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. So you can see that the grass can kind of, you should be able to see it through it, but then it's going to take several weeks to kind of decompose. So it's a messier process. Might be something to consider if you have dogs or kids, because it's something that would be easy to just stay off of it and let it do its thing, rather than tracking that into the house. So beneficial for lawns, especially if they're nutritionally deficient, if they have poor soil, if they're either high in clay or high in sand. So trying to change the composition of soil. And post-construction work, heavy dog use, things like that, stressful lawns. C20 is a grain byproduct that is a granular that we can apply. We use this product for some people in lieu of aeration, because if you have like a steep slope or an area that we can't access with equipment, then we would apply the C20. It is a food source for microbes. So in providing the food source, you're going to have a lot of microbial activity. When microbes get together, they're going to reproduce and they're going to respirate. And in doing that, they open up little oxygen pockets within the soil. It'll help to compact the soil and give some more space for roots to grow. It also helps the roots grow little tinier roots off of it. And so then they can grab more nutrients. They can be stronger, healthier, and resist stresses over time. So you can see that in a picture of untreated versus treated, the grass can grow healthier. It's also going to help with that water retention and absorption in your soil and helping those plants use that moisture better. Grub Gone is a product that we start to apply at the end of June through August. This is to treat or prevent grubs. So if anybody had experienced grub damage this year, you might see decline in the lawn in the fall, and you certainly see the damage come the next spring. Most of them are going to be Japanese beetle grubs. They also could be May, June beetle grubs or mass chafers, but they are the babies that eat on grass roots. They are normal to our environment, but when they become too numerous in one spot, then the grass feeding or root feeding then you'll see that grass won't overwinter well, and then in the spring it won't come back. And then you'll also start seeing things like secondary feeders, so raccoons, crows, robins, turkeys will maybe start to be very interested in the lawn, dig it up because they are looking for those little well, not so little anymore, the grubs that are nearing the surface in the spring. So they were nearing the surface. They don't eat as much in the springtime as they do really in the fall. They're really concentrated on molting in June, becoming adult beetles. Those adult beetles fly away. They typically fly up to 3 miles, but they'll always return to where they were born or close to where they were born, and they'll lay eggs every night. And so those little eggs, those are going to be the things that are going to be more susceptible to suppression than the big grubs. So the grub gun that we apply is a bacterium, and it will the little babies will eat it, and then they won't be able to survive through it. It doesn't kill other organisms. So you are only targeting what we want to target and won't kill anything else within that soil structure. This is why grubs become kind of a neighborhood issue because especially neighborhoods that are close together, so Minneapolis, St. Paul neighborhoods, that they have a lot of plants to feed on as adults. And then wherever they were born, they're going to come back to it. So you can see neighborhoods kind of have a problem together. They usually have a problem for several years, and then they kind of move on to maybe a new territory. This year, I think the most damage we saw was up in like Crystal, Golden Valley, Robbinsdale area, St. Paul. There's been damage in Minneapolis and Edina, St. Louis Park. Those are kind of some hot spots this year that had some significant damage in the neighborhoods. So then I just want to give a plug for our landscaping team. So if there's ever something, especially parts of the lawn that might not be growing grass well, and maybe it's just a different solution than trying to grow grass. We do pretty much anything landscaping wise. I have a team. We give free consultations. So it's always something if you want someone to come to the lawn and talk about some ideas and share some pricing, we're happy to do that at any time. So here's just a display of some landscaping projects that we've done in the last few years. And this can also be, we can also do sod in this department. So if there's ever an area that you'd want to replace the grass with some sod, that's something that we can certainly price out. Fire pit area is kind of cool. Lots of these kind of um, hardscape areas. And then I just wanted to show this video that gives a little plug for what you can do, especially when you have like every spring you're having dog spotting in a certain area. Kind of an interesting concept is to landscape for dogs. So we've had a designer in the past that created kind of a dog run. So maybe an area where the dogs can play that's you don't have to you maintain differently than grass. Also, when you can maintain a spot that dogs can go to the bathroom, so it's not going to ruin your grass by that excess nitrogen. So here's a video on that.
Many dog owners are concerned with the link between pesticides and the health of their beloved pets. Dogs are exposed to pesticides much more than humans because they breathe, absorb, and eat it when playing in the grass. The good news is that you can eliminate harmful chemicals by choosing to go organic. Dog spotting is a result of excess nitrogen in your lawn. Grass will turn green if it needs nitrogen or burn out if it is already properly fertilized. No matter the breed or gender, dogs that urinate in concentrated areas do the most damage. Unfortunately, there is no magic cure. To best prevent spotting, dilute areas with water or use pet-minded landscaping by creating an isolated, mulched area for your dog to use. Good cultural methods and organic lawn care products will help your lawn withstand spotting because the soil will be less compacted and better able to absorb and process the excess nitrogen. Repair affected soil with compost and seed, and use grass species that are more hardy to help your lawn endure a dog's traffic. Clover is resistant to dog spotting, so adding some to your mix is a great idea. Naturally, we can help.
Okay, and the next thing I want to talk about is this ascochyta. This is a fungal disease. This is the earliest I can remember seeing it this year, which it was probably now 4 weeks ago, where we had a period, we had nice, very hot, kind of dry weather, and then we had a period that shifted very quickly to cool and wet, especially when that happens at night. So if we have a nice storm come in and the weather gets cool and wet, and it was previous to that might be humid and hot, then overnight you can see this disease come about. So you can see from these pictures, it will run with the tracks of mowers or other equipment. So it's often mistaken for like a burnout or excess fertilizer. it does go away. So it's not something that kills the grass. It is something that once the weather changes, it will grow out of it. It can be very alarming at first, but sometimes when you first see it, if you just drive down the neighborhood and look around, it's very common for a lot of people to be experiencing it at once. Um, it does get it does get worse with water. So it's the other thing that is kind of a mistake is thinking that the lawn is drying out and adding more water to it because it will move with water, it's same as it does with the mowing tracks. And I have another video on this.
Ascochyta leaf blight is a common lawn disease brought on by hot, humid weather, followed by periods of moisture. This foliar pathogen infects the plant host, creating large, irregular patches of straw-colored grass. Grass blades show a bleached discoloration starting from the tip and migrating down toward the crown of the grass plant. It often impacts the sunny areas of the lawn first. When considering the disease triangle, a host, pathogen, and the right environmental conditions are needed for disease symptoms to be visible. Once a pathogen is identified, you may be able to break the triangle by either impacting the host or the environment. Ascochyta thrives in drought-stressed lawns, so deep and infrequent watering prior to a drought event is key. Light daily watering can exacerbate disease symptoms. Dull mower blades or cutting grass too short can increase symptoms. Keep grass at 3 inches or longer as a preventative measure. Reduce thatch by raking. Maintain good lawn nutrition by avoiding excessive nitrogen fertilizer applications. Confirming disease and finding resistant grass hosts are important next steps. Generally, the lawn will recover in 1 to 4 weeks as new grass shoots emerge. We love to answer questions and give free advice, so reach out today. Naturally, we can help.
Sorry, I need to go out from the slide. Whoops. Well, I'm going to stop my share and go back into my sharing. Sorry. See if I can get this to go. There we go. So this is an example of the before and after for somebody changing up their watering schedule from having those ascochyta symptoms. So somebody was watering daily. They just stopped watering within a week or two. Then the grass recovered. Oh, and I put a slide in here. This year we haven't done it in a few years, but typically we do a photo contest. These are some images of some people that have won in the past. We will be doing one this summer. So if you have your lawn's looking particularly nice, or you have some event or a cute dog in the lawn and wanted to snap a picture in preparation for this contest, we give one person free lawn care for the next year, and then we'll give several other people 50% off, depending on how many winners that we have. And then we use those photos. I really enjoy using photos of people that are our customers for our advertising, so you can see what's realistic to expect from the organic lawn care process. We also really appreciate real reviews to help set expectations for people, because this does take time. It does take patience. The longer you work the program, the better the results are going to be. And helping other people decide if it's a right fit for them is important to us, to make sure that, when you go with the organic approach, that you're participating in the process and understanding it, and that helps us set those expectations for others. And that's all I had for today. And so I'm ready if you have any questions or concerns that then I could help answer. Um, you can either unmute or if you put things into the chat box, then I can um, read that and answer questions as they come in. Does anyone have any particular weed concerns or something going on in their lawn? But this might be my first webinar with no questions. That's okay too. Oh, yes. Okay, so I've been told we have too much thatch. Is raking the solution for aeration? That's a good question. Yeah, thatch can occur for a couple different reasons, and there's a couple different solutions for it. Our solution every year is an annual aeration that helps pull these core plugs of soil out of the lawn and it disperses them on top. That is creating some space for oxygen to get down, also for nutrients, water to get down into that root system. Those are going to help microbes get into the soil, and microbes naturally control thatch. Anything that we do, so a lot of our products have to be broken down by microbes that can reduce thatch. Having C20, which is that microbial boost, that's a good way. Raking is another good way where some people think that like dry grass in the lawn is thatch, but a thatch layer of half an inch to an inch is very healthy. It's helping to protect the crown of that grass plant. It helps filters things from coming in. But when it becomes excessive, so once it gets over an inch, then things can't get down into the crown of the grass plant. They can't get down to the root system and they can't reach the soil. And then all of those additives, if they're just sitting on top of the grass, they won't be able to reach where they need to be. When thatch gets too much, the grass will start to feel maybe a little spongy. It might also it would be more susceptible to stresses. So it might be more susceptible to drought, to heat. And because then when the thatch layer, if it continues to get too thick, then the grass will start growing into the thatch instead of into the soil. And so then that's when you really see if it's like a drought condition that the grass will really start to brown out quickly because it doesn't have any root system to help protect itself. Kentucky bluegrass is kind of a thatchier type of grass, or people that are. I've had people in the past add things to their lawn without realizing that they contain nitrogen. So sometimes things like a grub protection or grub control will have a carrier that is fertilizer. So if you continue to put something on the lawn, it'll keep making your grass grow too rapidly. That can produce thatch. But then also just Kentucky bluegrass sod, it will come with a good amount of thatch. And so always making sure to aerate new sod. You want to aerate new sod for at least 6 years annually to ensure that that sod roots well and that sod soil mixes with the existing soil. It's also going to help decrease that thatch by allowing some air movement in there and those roots to spread and grow. Aerating also after installing Kentucky bluegrass sod, it's good to combine it with overseeding so you diversify that grassland. Kentucky bluegrass sod is generally 100% one cultivar, one species. So you always want to diversify your grass stands so that if something happens like a disease that maybe Kentucky bluegrass is susceptible to, something like rust, you would get it everywhere in your lawn as opposed to if you had different types of grass species that are not susceptible, then you're going to have it not affect everything at once. But raking is a good way. In the spring, you don't want to rake too early and you don't want to rake too aggressively. But getting something, into that thatch layer and opening it up and getting some oxygen in there, even kind of fluffing it up, is a really good way to relieve some of that thatch layer so that it's in the more reasonable zone that is going to still let those nutrients and water get into the root layer. Um, so I hope that answered that question for you, Roger. If you have more questions or further questions about that, I can answer those via email too. So you guys are always welcome to email me directly, which is Shay, Shay, at Team Lunseth. Lun is Lunseth .com. So next question is, I'm sorry, but I've needed to be in and out of the session. Will there be recording made available? Yes, I do share the recording. It'll be on our YouTube page, which is, we have Organic Lawns by Lunseth YouTube page. We also have it on our website. So organiclawnsbylunseth.com. That has a video library and all of our Zoom sessions are on there. You can look at last year's sessions too. So I try to make them seasonal. So things that are happening now, so you can kind of see when it was posted, and that should be things that are more pertaining to questions that we have this time of year. The next question is, my dog likes to snack on grass. Once it is dry after the chelated iron treatment, is it safe for him to take a few bites? Yes, it is okay for dogs and other critters to eat the grass after the chelated iron has dried. It's taken in by the grass plant very quickly. And so iron is a micronutrient that is in our plants. And so it's safe to eat after that. We don't want them to walk on the grass so that it doesn't work if the application was still wet. We also, if a dog were to like roll in all of that liquid iron, it could be a mild skin irritant similar to like soap. So we want to avoid that as well. But eating the grass is totally fine. The other things that dogs tend to like to eat in our program is the corn gluten meal. That is also fine for them to eat, but of course, if they eat too much of it, it may upset their stomach. The corn gluten meal is the byproduct of the wet milling process of corn, so otherwise would be used in dog food. So it's also sometimes enticing for dogs to eat that. If we ever have animals, dogs, geese, trying to eat the corn gluten too much, I always suggest just watering that in to help it kind of dissipate a little bit quicker. Then it won't make it so enticing for them. Do you have any other questions? Well, if not, I can end this session now. Again, my email, you can send me questions directly to me. Also, you call our office. We have a team of people here that answer the phone. Most likely it's going to be Emma and Mackenzie. We also have Justin in our team. He's our person who does the scheduling and is often you're going to receive scheduling emails from him. Other people in our office, Isabella's answers the phone and can answer any questions that you have. And of course, me as well. So we're happy to be here to support and make sure that we have the best year that we can with this organic process. I appreciate your participation, and we'll get this up on the website as soon as we can, so you can share it with anybody that might have missed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.